Today on the Relationship Renovation podcast, Tarah and I take apart an argument that we got into over the weekend.
Like, I'm invisible, I'm insignificant, like my needs don't matter. All of that stuff came up about a stupid hot dog not being charcoaled. Like, are you kidding me?
And we discover that really what it was about wasn't what it was really about.
And I can forgive, and I have so much compassion for you because you don't mean to get it wrong and I don't mean to get it wrong, but we're all gonna get it wrong.
And we talk about how you can use difficult moments in your relationship to actually get better at future difficult moments. So stay tuned.
Hello all, and welcome to the Relationship Renovation podcast. I'm Tarah Kerwin.
And my name is EJ Kerwin. And today we're doing another episode about how we dealt with a conflict. And we do these because I know from all the years of being a therapist and focusing on couples work is that we are not unique. You know, we have the same type of arguments. We have the same fears. We have the same slip ups that everybody else has. But we also have like a bunch of tools, and a bunch of knowledge that helps us get better.
And we just keep getting better, and then we just have to share it because it's not this light switch that you just get really good at communication or repairing or connecting. It is work.
It is.
But it's great work, right? Because we were so proud of ourselves last Sunday.
Yes. And it is a mindset that, that if you want to have a successful relationship, like it is a mindset I think that is almost essential in order to make it work. And it is that we're gonna trip, we're gonna get into arguments, we're gonna have bad hours, days, maybe weeks, and we have to use that time every time to learn. When we face a difficult moment, there is a 99% chance that we have faced a difficult moment very much like that sometime in our past. And if we can access those past moments and how we did it and then how we worked through it, and then integrate that into the current difficult time, we're going to get better at being in relationship with one another.
So we're just going to kind of go through the process. But then, to me, one of the things I was really so proud of is we help our kids understand it too, because when there's arguments, kids get really confused and there's just this air of tension, and kids have their own ways of making up stories just like adults do. And when we ended it and repaired it, and then we even brought our kids into it so they can understand, it's so healthy because conflict is a part of life. Anger is information that something has happened and it's useful.
Yes.
And a lot of people will either brush conflict under the rug or not do it in front of the kids, but kids can pick up on it. And so it ends beautifully with, this family discussion of what just happened between mom and dad. And now they get a sense of conflict is okay and there is repair and there's not this messy confusion around it.
Yeah, and it's not sweeping under the rug and it's not pretending something didn't happen. So
let's just
we're going to take you through. So
it's not, go ahead.
All right, let's set the stage.
It's not about the hot dog.
It's also it's so frustrating when you get into these arguments. I was just talking to actually somebody else who works at our center about the conflict that happened between them and their spouse, and how it happened out of nowhere, and they were just so frustrated because they were I was just waiting for them to come home, and then I was just sharing something, and then all of a sudden it went totally sideways. And so that's what's annoying as well.
It's let it go sideways, but come back quicker. That's what feels good.
Yes. So here's the situation. I feel like DJ Jazzy Jeff. Okay, here's the situation. My parents just left on a week's vacation. All right, so we're at home.
Cooking out.
Sunday fun day. It's our favorite day of the week. It's nice out. Sunny day.
We're at the pool.
I'm barbecuing. I love the barbecue. It's like one of my favorite things to do. Tara loves it when I barbecue.
Yeah.
So we're having like a little lunch, we're gonna barbecue dinner as well. But first we're gonna have hot dogs and hamburgers before the main meal, right?
Right.
Now, and
Which
what
is carne asada tacos.
yeah, we're having hamburgers and hot dogs at like 2 or something, right? So I go out, Tara's prepping inside. We've, already gone swimming. I cook the hot dogs on the flat top. I did not cook them on the barbecue, so it doesn't have that barbecue charred. It has that flat top.
Like a skillet.
Feel to it. Yes, but it is outdoors. And so I bring...
it sounds so stupid.
I bring the hot dog to Tara. She's at our outdoor table, which we love. It's a place for our family to sit and have a nice meal. I hand her hot dog, and I automatically look at her, and it's like I served her a pile of crap. She looks at it, and she is instantly crestfallen.
Okay, so let me share now. So okay. I usually don't eat hot dogs. I probably eat hot dogs if I'm at a Dodgers game, a Cubbies game, or maybe once a year at our house. But when I do eat a hot dog, I love it like blackened on the charcoal grill. Like it's my favorite thing. And so that's what I was expecting. Like, oh, EJ knows I love this. Like it's very rare that I eat hot dogs. And I'm just thinking all this, like it's not even a thing. Because I've said it before and whatever. And so, and our 17-year-old is sitting at the table with us, right?
Okay, there's moments before this that are important for me.
Okay.
So I give her it. I can tell she's disappointed. I ask her what's going on. She tells me. She's like, she didn't ever say why. She asked me, why didn't you cook it the other way? And I was like, I didn't even really think about it. I just turned it on. And then I go back. And so we have this interaction 3 times in a row. Like every time I reapproach, she asks me again, how could you have cooked it this way? Yeah, and then I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I wish I would have done it. I really apologize. I'll do it that way next time. I go away. I come back. She says, I just still don't understand. And so like the first time I was like not triggered. I was just like, okay, like, shoot, I should have done it the other way. I know she prefers that. The second time I was like, okay, I think this might be a thing. The third time I got triggered, I was just like, okay, like, what's my way to get out of this trouble? Because I feel like I'm just kind of getting repetitively hit over the head with this. And so that, for me, that was an escalating trigger of getting confronted with the same question and not being able to provide you an answer that was helping.
So when EJ gets defensive and it's in front of 1 or 2 of our kids, then I automatically start to feel like, oh my God, they're going to think I'm this like controlling monster. Like it's not really about the hot dog, but I felt humiliated in front of the kids when the defensiveness happened. And then I got really sad. And then I had to go in and I had to I did my code word. And I was like, what is happening right now? Like I feel humiliated. I feel really sad. And I feel really confused. That's why the confusion piece kept asking me like about the cooking process. But, once I took my time and I came back to you and I told you what was really happening, right?
So then you walked back in. I knew that we were in tension, but I thought we were going to make our way through it. And then you looked at me and you were like, I am humiliated.
I feel humiliated.
Yeah, I feel humiliated.
And it's that thing that happens like with, I don't know if any listeners can relate, like where you're having this emotional reaction and you feel like you're the monster, you're the dramatic one in the family, you're the one that like is losing their shit all the time. That's like, I was feeling that and I was just like, no, like I just know how I like my hot dogs, but it really was about you and I like being attuned to each other. Because after the end of my processing, I was like, do you not even know me? Like, again, it really wasn't about the hot dog. It was like me feeling like I'm invisible, right? All of my negative core beliefs getting getting like I'm invisible, I'm insignificant, like my needs don't matter. All of that stuff came up about a stupid hot dog not being charcoaled. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But this is where, like, if you don't do that next part of it, it can send you, right? I could have been like, God, what a jerk. Like, he doesn't know anything. He's just taking the easy way out. He didn't want to do the barbecue because it's too much work. Whatever my story could have been. Went through my process. It has anything to do with the hot dog. It hit me at a place where I'm just not important or my needs aren't important. And then I was like, God, but I know EJ loves me. And I know that he did not do this on purpose to hurt me. Right. And this is how I start coming out of my own pain and suffering.
And for me, there was also a moment where I did a 180. And I think all I can do is take responsibility for what I can take responsibility for in a situation like that. And it was when you walked back in and you told me you felt humiliated, I got just how upset you were. I thought you were just like annoyed and frustrated with me. And I got like, oh, this is one of those moments where she is really deeply triggered. And this is the whole getting better and understanding things from the past. So then I accessed things that you've shared that I've done, that family members have done to you, where like you have a preference and they don't honor your preference whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
They put somebody else's preference
Always.
first, and how like just flooring that is to you. And I, in that moment, I was probably a little over the top because I feel like I was almost like begging you to like know like that I was like sorry and it wasn't my intent and that you have every right to feel the way you feel. But I completely abandoned any of my own like, sort of whatever easy defensiveness around like, it's just about a hot dog, get over it, come on, like don't ruin the day. I let that go completely and was like, I validated everything. I mean, that was like my goal in that moment. And that was what I've learned in the past, was validate that the way I talked to you in front of one of the kids felt humiliating, that you felt really unimportant and not cared for and not understood.
Yeah.
And that if I really loved you, I would know these things about how you prefer, what your preferences are. And so I went all in on letting you know that, while also trying to give you space because you were like, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like in this situation where I was the triggered one, it's not just for you to like make it better. Like I have to figure out, right, what this trigger was. I have to be compassionate towards you. And I have to go through that process in order to repair it for both of us. So we both have work to do in these moments. And you letting go of your defensiveness then allows me to not feel like the dramatic one. And it just feels safe.
And so we went back out. So you took some time in the house.
And I was so scared. Can I just say, I was like, oh my God, everyone's judging me because I just got so triggered about a stupid hot dog. Like I was so scared that people would really think that I'm just over the top, because it really wasn't about that. If you're listening to
and
this.
they don't, and the kids don't understand how. They don't understand the backstory, and they don't, so it's not their job to. This is our adult stuff that we're supporting each other through and helping each other understand. They don't understand about why I get defensive about getting things wrong, and I feel like I'm constantly getting things wrong in life. They don't, and that's not their job to.
But we do call a family meeting because they felt the rupture.
Well, that was, and that also, it was great for the family, but you came like 55% of the way back, like emotionally,
yeah.
you came back outside. So, and I could tell you were trying, but you were still really hurt and you were kind of shut down. And then I knew that this had happened in front of the kids. So I said, hey, can we have a quick family meeting?
Mm-hmm.
And then in an appropriate way, not getting really deeply into it, I said, hey guys, this is what happened. Mom and I just got into a little bit of an argument. I just didn't realize a preference that mom had. And then I got really defensive about it, especially in front of you, to the one kid who was kind of there when we had that conversation. And I'm really sorry. But we just want to let you know, so that like that tense moment, we're not just like pretending it didn't happen.
Yeah. And that all emotions are okay, right? And that we work through them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that there's no person at fault here.
And I definitely think that's something our kids get, because and I think we're appropriate about it. We let them know what's going on. We don't overshare. We don't get too far into the details. But I mean, like, I don't know. I remember when my parents would get into a fight. My parents didn't fight a lot, but they would have like one giant fight every like 18 months. And there was never any like, hey, this is what happened. It was just all like, whatever. I mean, we're therapists, so that's like what we do. But I think it is good to let your kids know, like, hey, we had that moment. This is kind of what happened.
Yeah.
This is how we got through it. Because I know, like, we had a big argument like a few months ago or something, and I was talking to one of the older boys, and I was like, do you ever worry, that Tarah and I might not make it or whatever? And he's like, no. He's like, you guys talk too much about stuff to not make it. He's like, you guys are always like talking about things.
But so one of like the reasons why we wanted to share this story is because it's really about trust and forgiveness and compassion, that we will hurt each other over and over and over and over for the rest of our lives together.
And over.
And then over again. But if you trust that your partner is not doing it maliciously, if you trust that you can work through your own triggers and understand yourself better, and if you forgive, right, have forgiveness that like things are going to get messed up sometimes and it's going to be okay. Like when I get angry, I also have this little piece of me that's like, that's okay. And I can forgive, and I have so much compassion for you because you don't mean to get it wrong and I don't mean to get it wrong, but we're all going to get it wrong. But building that compassion for your partner is what's going to help you more quickly repair these arguments, because we definitely would not have been able to do this a decade ago.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, how dare you not make my hot dogs? I'm done. No,
well, can I ask you a question? And you can always be free to say no. And,
sure.
And we can always like cut it out if it's too much. Do you think because you have been hurt maliciously by people, it's hard for you to distinguish in other relationships whether they are maliciously? Because there's this thing we keep coming back to. It's not just with us, it's with other people, of like being taken advantage of, that people are just doing things, maliciously.
I mean, it's the feeling. It's the feeling of like when I'm not being cared for or something, or like, but I know that I can't, like, you are the person I have to trust that has my back. For other people, maybe because it's not such a close, intimate relationship, it might be different. But yeah, I have to get, because of the trauma I went through and because people did do very bad things to me, I have to be like, EJ is not malicious. He's not that person. It's my own trauma work, right? But yeah, of course that comes into play, that feeling, but I continue to work on it over and over again. And then identify the people that I can trust and I want to trust. But it takes work on my part, or you would just be one of the bad guys,
Because even in that moment with the hot dog, like when I would come back each time and you would question, like, why did you do that? Like, how could you have done that? Like,
it's a trauma response.
And that's part of my defensiveness that I have to work through, is that like, it feels almost like you think I did it on purpose. Like I did it I purposefully cooked it a way that you would not like, to make you feel bad.
Yes. And that's really important, especially if you have a partner that does have a history of trauma, that the trigger can feel way more hypervigilant, and mine comes out as like questions or like anxiety, but then I take my time and I try to understand what it is, because I know it's not about the stupid hot dog.
I got to get better at noticing that, because I just like get like, I think I get flooded because I'm just like the third, fourth time the question is answered, I'm like, I don't know what to say anymore. I don't know how to answer this.
No, this is good. Like we're learning something right now while we're having this episode. Like that questioning for me, that means I'm kind of spinning out. I'm in this place of confusion and I'm trying to understand it. And I'm trying to be like, did you do this on purpose? But not frontal lobe wise. I'm not doing this consciously. It's coming from a feeling of despair or whatever it might be in that moment. So,
do you have any sense of like the second, third time you would ask me a question like that? Like how
no,
you would want
I
me
just,
to respond?
Well, yes, because I mean, it's kind of like the missed opportunity in the very beginning when you see that I'm maybe hurt or triggered. Like, hey, babe, what just happened? Instead of like, it came off as like me blaming you for not doing it, and then you got defensive. But I couldn't have maybe I wasn't soft in it. I don't know. I don't know. But I think we can get better. Like if you see all of a sudden I'm like,
what's going on?
What's happening? Like, hey, babe, what just happened? Like, help me understand. Instead of like getting stuck in the content, right? That's one of our lessons here at our center and at our home program. It's content versus process. It is so easy to get stuck in the content and avoid the process. And the process is where you grow and you evolve as a person, as an individual, and as a couple. And we'll get stuck in the content often, but we're getting better at being in the process. And, we just learned from this. Like now right? We always say a trigger is if the stimulus, wait, what is it?
If your response outweighs the stimulus.
Yes. And I was smart enough to know, all right, this response happening, if that hot dog did not do that to me, there is something else happening. And, that's the first part of like identifying the triggers and what a trigger is. Cause if you were like mean to me, I have every right. That's a stimulus. That's like my reaction to it feels, like totally normal. But a hot dog not having charcoal on it, like char grilled and like the little,
I mean, I get it. It tastes good. I mean,
that's when I'm like, something else is happening. And it was, as we've talked about it just right now, it's a very deep core belief trauma trigger. And I was able to not compartmentalize. I was able to integrate it and see the whole. And then we repaired it. And then our family came together and all was good. And then we had a rest of a very fun day Sunday. Yes. So awesome.
And so listeners, we would love to hear stories like this about you and your partner. What are the ways in which you guys are getting better at being in relationship with one another? And send it to us if you like. That'd be amazing. info@relationshiprenovation.com. But more importantly, talk to each other this weekend. Like share like, hey, Tarah, this is a way we're getting better. Like I'm noticing that when I trigger you, you're getting better at communicating that you realize that this is a trigger, that even though you might be upset with me about it, but you're also knowing that it's not all on me. So
totally,
let each other know ways you see each other adapting in a positive way.
Yes. Everybody's needs are very important. And the more we can get better at meeting them and being comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you for listening. Again, yes, if you have like a hot dog story, share it. And thanks for listening. As always, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.